Welcome, Teri, to this pre-event interview for Project Voice. You are my friend, and I am so happy to talk with you. That will likely make our conversation all that much more. Project Voice. See, we're live. We're live on YouTube.
There we are.
We just heard it. So for those on YouTube, thanks for your attention. This is Teri Fisher. He does so many things in voice. He is a leader in flash briefings. He is a speaker, and everybody wants him to come talk at their conferences, not just once, but several times. You're speaking several times at Project Voice in the Chattanooga event, which happens January 13th through the 17th. We're so glad to have you be a part of that. I always look forward to everything you have to say. Usually when you're speaking, I am listening. And so maybe it's time for me to listen and for you to talk. So can you just introduce yourself to the 3 or 4 people in the voice world that do not yet know who you are?
Oh, that's very kind. Well, Ian, it's really nice for you to invite me onto this interview. It's wonderful. Who am I? So my name's Teri Fisher. My day job, my identity during the day is as a physician. I work out in Vancouver. I'm a Canadian, and I work at the University of British Columbia in the Student Health Clinic. I'm a clinical assistant professor there. And I practice family medicine and sports medicine. That's my day job. By night, I am a voice enthusiast. I've always been a tech enthusiast. And a couple of years ago, when I started to hear a little bit about what's going on with voice technology, I became very interested, kind of dove in, started to investigate a little bit what it's all about, and realized nobody in Canada was really talking about it. And I wanted to talk about it. And so I created my Alexa in Canada website, and things really took off. There was a real appetite for this kind of stuff. I created the first Canadian flash briefing voice in Canada. That's been it wasn't the first one, but the longest running one now, and the top rated flash briefing and news skill in Canada. And from there, things just evolved. With my medical expertise, I developed another podcast and blog called Voice First Health, looking at the intersection of healthcare and voice. With my interest in flash briefings, I developed briefcast.fm, which is a network of some of the best briefcasters out there, and various other things. What can I say? I love voice, love the technology, and I'm all in after hours.
Yeah, you are all in. And one thing that's interesting is so much of your energy that's been put forth is things that you've done for the community. Like there's not a fee to listen to your flash briefing or your podcast, but even more so, I don't know if everybody really understands what you've created at flashbriefingformula.com. Not only is it the most comprehensive course on the strategy for a flash briefing, how to build it, how to create it, maintain it, and be successful at it, which you could charge a lot of money to give people that course, but it's free. So I know there's a lot of things to talk about, but can we just talk about that for a moment? Because I know you put so much energy toward creating that gift for the voice community. So could you talk a bit about what you've created with this course and why you made it free? Because people need to understand that there's a lot of value there, even though you have provided this as a free gift to the community.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. You know, I strongly believe, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, that flash briefings really are the future of content and content distribution, because it is short form audio. People are moving more and more towards short form audio. Even my podcasts, I tend to have them, I think, relative to other podcasts, on the shorter side. The attention spans are shorter. People want to consume the content and get out. And right now, flash briefings are at such an early stage that I often will liken it to, prime real estate that you could have bought 20 years ago. And I really encourage people to look into flash briefings and understand the opportunity there. Because of that, I wanted to create something that could help people to get started. And that's when I went, and I took quite a long time, as you said, to develop this course. It is extremely comprehensive. I cover everything from even coming up, with the idea, to various types of strategies, to how to develop the technology, how to put it together, where to host your stuff, the audio equipment, the whole bit, marketing. And I decided I wanted to make it free because I really want to grow the flash briefing community. It's very early, and the more people that are creating these, the better. That's not to say I don't consult. I do some consulting, and for that, when it's one-on-one time, then I have to charge for that. But the actual course is, as you said, it isn't completely free for that at flashbriefingformula.com. It literally is about 50 videos, screenshots, screen videos telling you exactly where to click, how to do it, everything. And I'm proud to say that I've literally had hundreds of people go through the course now, and to be part of sort of helping to grow that flash briefing community is something that I'm very happy to be able to do and very proud of.
And you also created a community for people that do flash briefings to try and like give the world a sense of like, hey, these flash briefings are consistent. The content is great. The people that are leading it are somebody that I would want to listen to. Like, this is kind of my top, but it became not just Teri's top list, but it became in a sense like a real indicator of who's doing a great job at flash briefings. I know you started that, I believe, last year. And so you talk a bit about like the community of people that are creating flash briefings and how they are collaborating together and how a rising tide is raising all these ships at one time.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So one of the criticisms that is often heard, and we can debate whether or not this is an actual criticism or not in the Amazon platform, the Alexa platform, is the idea of the discoverability. And one of the issues is that when you go look on the Amazon marketplace, the skills store, it is hard to identify which are the best flash briefings. And for those that are doing a really great job, how do they get known as being those really, really top-notch flash briefings? And so I thought about how can we do that? How can we support the community? And I created this flash briefing network. As far as I know, I believe it's the first flash briefing network. It's called briefcast.fm. And what we do is we invite people that essentially have been vetted, that have great, like you said, consistent shows, high quality shows, providing real content, and have been proven to really provide an excellent service to the community. And we come under this umbrella, briefcast.fm, and that sort of is the stamp of approval that if you go and you enable one of those flash briefings, you're going to get something that's really high quality. And like you said, it's when we have a community of people that are all creating really quality flash briefings, it does raise all ships.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think a lot of people are very grateful that you put in the energy to cultivate that community. That's very helpful because things are so early with flash briefings, and there's not a ranking system that's yet been developed that allows people to really understand what to invest their time into investigating. And so I think you've done many great services to the voice industry. Let's talk about what you're going to be doing at Project Voice. First, let's talk about what you're doing. Like, you have the Voice and Healthcare Bootcamp, yes, and some other things. So we just share for a moment, what are you going to be doing at Project Voice in terms of on the stage? And then I can ask you a bit about what you're going to do outside of those efforts.
Sure. So on the stage, the first day, sort of a pre-conference workshop, myself and a couple of other colleagues of mine will be giving a Voice and Healthcare Bootcamp, kind of a 101 for those people that want to learn how to get started in voice technology, specifically with healthcare. So we're going to be doing a little bit of an overview of, what's the opportunity of voice in healthcare? How do you actually get started in terms of creating voice skills or actions or whatever you want to call them? So we're bringing in a VUI designer. We have Ilana Shalowitz Mayer, David Box, Harry Pappas, a number of key influencers in the healthcare space. And we're going to run through a workshop that basically covers all of the key concepts that one would need to think about when starting a voice or delving into voice in healthcare. So that's one thing. I believe it's the next day. I'll be on a panel with some other colleagues as well, answering questions around the current state of voice technology and healthcare. And that's an area that's changing so rapidly. So there's a lot of new things there. And then, as I mentioned, I'll be giving a talk on best practices in flash briefings, which of course ties into my interest in flash briefings. And I'll also have the opportunity, I think, in that talk to talk a little bit about a gamified flash briefing that I created last year, which I believe also was the first gamified flash briefing, and the response was tremendous. And that's another something that I want to teach people how to take advantage of, how to be creative with their audio content.
That's awesome. Now, that's only going to fill up a small percentage of your time. So you're going to have a lot of time at Project Voice. Of course, Monday, January 13th, it gets started with day 0, right? The real push is Tuesday the 14th through Thursday the 16th. And then we kind of wrap up for those that want to stick around on Friday the 17th. So it does give you a lot of time that you are there and available. One of the things that I think would be really amazing for the community that attends is for some of them to have the ability to meet with you and maybe jump on your podcast and create some content with you. So Could you talk about your availability to connect with some of the other speakers and sponsors and attendees that are there, and for them to be able to jump into one of your podcasts or something of that nature, and then maybe let people know how they can get a hold of you to schedule something like that in advance?
Yeah. And again, thanks for that question. That's great. You're absolutely right. One of the things that I keep on playing over in my mind is there's such a great lineup of speakers, and I wish I could hear all of them. And then on the other hand, I also really, really value the personal connections that one tends to make at these conferences. And it's going to be hard to figure out how to do both at the same time. You have to be in two places at the same time. But anyway, you're absolutely right. I do really want to take the opportunity when the community's together to connect one-on-one with people and to have them jump in on the podcast and record lots and lots of content that I can then share it through my channels. So yes, absolutely. If anybody would like to meet, the first thing I'll say is that I will be having a small booth where I will be able to be sort of set up with my sign and some little pamphlets and that sort of thing. And so when I'm not busy seeing a talk or talking or meeting with someone, I will try to be at that booth. So, of course, everybody's welcome to come by and say hi. I'd love to meet everybody. As well, a really good place to probably schedule something in advance is through Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. It's probably the most active social media channel. And my Twitter handle is at Dr. Teri Fisher, DrTerifisher. So 1 R, 1 I in Terry. And I'd be happy to schedule things, pre-schedule and have lots of content. That is going to be a big goal of mine, is to really be able to generate a lot of content with all the people that are at the conference.
Wonderful. Well, to summarize our conversation, you are a legend and everybody in the voice industry is grateful for you. So thank you. You'll be speaking several times at Project Voice, lots of diversity, and people have a chance to learn from you, whether it's the Health Bootcamp or it's the talk about flash briefings. And in addition, you're available. You're available to interview people. And the best way to reach out to you is through Twitter at Dr. Teri Fisher. In addition to all that, you are constantly producing more and more content through flash briefings and podcasts, and people should definitely tune in, because not only are you a great host of a podcast, but you bring in really wonderful people that you have this ability to open people's soul up and get them.
Well, thank you.
You did that to me. I think I cried. I cried talking about all the elderly having voice devices to change their life. So
I remember that still.
Me cry, make anybody cry. And finally, flashbriefingformula.com.
Yes.
Everybody, that is the call to action. The call to action is, if you are interested in building a strategy and developing a flash briefing, there is a free course with about 50 videos. Hundreds of people have been helped with this, and it is available to you for free at flashbriefingformula.com. In addition, if you do not want to create flash briefings, you know people that do. And so would you do Terry a solid? Would you please share it? Would you please share flashbriefingformula.com with those that you think may be interested in having a helping hand, right? Because the way I see it, Terry has built all this, and his ceiling can be your floor with something as simple as investing your energy and time into his free course. Terry, any final thoughts as we wrap up our interview?
No, that's wonderful, Ian. Thank you so much for having me on as well. I think what you're doing with this platform, and I know some of the other things that you're working on behind the scenes as well. You are making a huge contribution to the voice space as well, and I think people are going to be hearing a lot from you in the coming months. So thanks for everything you're doing as well.
Absolutely, I'm very grateful to be part of the community. Everybody watching on Voice First FM, YouTube, thanks for your attention, and I will be back with another interview soon. Tomorrow, I think I have half a dozen tomorrow and half a dozen or so on Friday. So you can tune in during that time. Again, thanks for your attention, and we'll see you at Project Voice.